What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the official Thompson Resume Writing Company YouTube channel, where I share weekly tips and hints on how to update, refresh, or prepare your resume and LinkedIn profile for your job search, along with some job search tips, some career advice, and some personal stories and journeys of my own. If you are new to my channel, be sure to go ahead and hit the subscribe button below so that you are notified when new videos are released. I am Tamika Thompson. I am the owner and resume writer at Thompson Resume Writing Company, and I specialize in transforming bland, lackluster resumes and LinkedIn profiles into powerful selling tools that help corporate mid-level, management, and executive professionals land interviews 2 times faster. For this video, I'm going to give you some tips to make a recruiter fall head over heels in love with your resume when they open it so that you get a callback. Let's get right into it. Now, there are plenty of things that recruiters hate, and I mean hate when it comes to resumes with a passion. Let's name a few, shall we? Objective statements, resumes that are over 3 pages, resumes that have irrelevant or unrelated information, resumes that are not targeted, resumes that have a gazillion jobs on them. I could go on and on and on and on. But while you think that recruiters are automatically out to get you when it comes to your resume and that they just want to reject everything, that is not the case. They just know what they want to see and what they don't want to see. And we already knows what happens when they don't see what they're looking for. Rejection email. Okay, and who wants to read a rejection email? Because seriously, that'll like mess up your whole mood. I've read rejection emails that have seriously just like killed my whole vibe. So what do they love? And what should your resume have and not have for them to love it enough to at least reach out to you to get an interview? Keep watching to find out. Number one is to make sure that it does not exceed 2 pages. Now, back in the day, resumes were only supposed to be 1 page. In today's day and age, however, that is no longer the case. In fact, 2 pages is typically the standard length of pages that your resume should be. With 1 page, you're only limited to just that 1 page, and so everything is only on there. And sometimes you don't have the opportunity to expand on more information, give more details, or be as targeted and specific as you like because you're trying to stay within that 1 page frame. And so your sentences sometimes have to be shortened. You have to leave information out. You may kind of be in a position where you have to pick and choose what you put on there. And with a 2-page resume, you have way more space, so you can include as much relevant and as much related information as you would like, which sometimes does allow you to add more keywords throughout the document. And if you think about it, it definitely makes sense. So with 1 page, you may only be able to put 12 to 15 keywords in there, including your education, your skills, your overview or your professional summary, as well as your jobs. But if you have 2 pages, that's double the keywords that you may be able to put in there in order to get picked up by the ATS and get past the screening system. Sometimes when it comes to 1-page resumes, it may make you appear inexperienced or unqualified or like your background is not as extensive as it should be. For example, if you are a manager, the only time where your resume should be 1 page is if you've been at the same company for several years or you've held the same position for several years. But if you are a manager who has been progressing throughout your career for the past 10 to 12 years, you definitely need more than 1 page to showcase all of that growth. The only people who tend to have a 1-page resume are people who have maybe stayed at the same company for a series of years. So if you started at AT&T back in 2005 and you haven't navigated to a new role and you haven't navigated to a new company, then your resume may be 1 page. Another scenario is if you are a recent high school graduate or college graduate who doesn't have a lot of experience and maybe you just have an internship or a handful of jobs on your resume, maybe a project or a capstone or anything of that sort, then it's acceptable for you to have a 1-page resume. But if you are an esteemed professional who has more than 5 to 7 or maybe 12 years of experience, your resume should absolutely be 2 pages. But do not exceed 2 pages unless you are in a profession or in a field where it is acceptable to do so, or if it is a CV versus a resume. So a profession that tends to expand or extend past 2 pages tends to be law, in the medical field. Sometimes teachers have pretty lengthy resumes as well. But depending on your industry or depending on your field, it may be okay to have more than 2 pages, but for the most part, you want to keep it to at least 2 pages or less. Number 2 is to make the resume targeted and relevant. Now, I do have a video on my channel that talks about the difference between a targeted resume and a general resume. And here is where you can go ahead and take a look at that video. But just as an overview, until you get a chance to watch it, targeted resumes basically have information that is only relevant and specific to the job that the person is applying to. Whereas a general resume is going to have any and every job that the person may have had in their career from start to finish. So I've seen one resume, I was working with this one guy, and his resume started when he first started working, which was literally back in the 80s, which is completely okay, but why is that on your resume? It was also in a completely different industry than where he was at now. So the information that's on your resume needs to be as relevant to the job that you're applying to as possible. This means that you're only putting relevant skills, you're only putting relevant jobs, and you're only listing relevant value and strengths that the role is looking for. Recruiters do not have a lot of time to look at your resume when they first lay eyes on it. They're going to give it a once over, which may include a 7-second to 9-second glance. And if it's looking like the information is either not applicable or it's not saying exactly what they want to say, they're going to go ahead and reject you, and you're going to get that nice little email, and then your feelings are going to be hurt. So if you are applying to a job, make sure that the information in your resume is relevant, that it's targeted, and that it's specific. If I'm applying to an accounting job, I'm not going to have marketing related information. So I'm not going to talk about email marketing or social media marketing or direct mail or campaign management. No, I'm going to talk about the budgets that I've managed, if I've done any types of account reconciliations, if I've managed any type of general ledgers. It's going to be all of that type of information. And it's also going to speak to the value that I've delivered in my accounting related role, whether I have saved the company money, whether I have prevented overspending or some errors that could have prevented extra or additional spending, etc. In my marketing resume is where I'm going to talk about my email marketing, my social media marketing, my campaign management, my marketing related software, etc. Sometimes when it comes to people who have transitioned careers, you may still need to have your previous positions on there just for longevity and to show that you have had previous positions. Do your very best to make sure that everything in your resume is relevant and that it's targeted. This may also mean that you have to remove some information such as hobbies or degrees or certificate or educational accomplishments that are not related to the position as well, in addition to earlier jobs that you may have held in your career that are no longer related to the jobs that you're going to now. Number 3 is to make sure that it's concise and that it gets to the point. You guys, like I just said, recruiters do not have all day to be looking at your resume, sifting through all of the information and figure out if you're qualified, if you have the experience. No, it needs to be plain, simple, and get to the point, because they only have a little bit of time to take a look at it before they decide whether they're going to give you a call or whether they are going to reject you. And when it comes to your job descriptions and your professional summary, your skills, etc., try not to ramble, right? So with your job descriptions and overviews, you shouldn't have any bullet points that are heavy, chunky paragraphs of text. Every bullet point should be at least 1 to 2 sentences, no more than that. And with your professional summary, it shouldn't be any more than 5 sentences or 5 bullet points total. Every single statement in your resume should start with a very strong verb or action word, and then it should also incorporate a number that is linked to an outcome or a success. Now, in a previous video, we talked all about why you should not be using or why you should stay away from pre-designed resume templates because they are not ATS friendly. And in another video, I did give you some reasons on why your resume may be getting rejected by the ATS due to some common mistakes that are typically made when it comes to resumes. A confusing resume is an ineffective resume. So as you are laying out your resume or as you are designing it, you want to make sure that it naturally flows from left to right and that the information is not jumping all over the place or is not sporadically placed throughout the document. And what I mean by that is, like, your name should be at the top, and then comes your profile summary and your overview, then comes your skills, then comes your education, and then comes your experience. Your name should not be over here and then your skills are down here, and then your contact information is like over here, and then your job experience is like in this little column up here. And I do see a lot of templates that kind of bounce the eye all over the document, and not only is that sometimes not not ATS friendly, meaning when it goes through the system, it doesn't parse well on the other side. But then it's also confusing to read, because when the recruiter or whomever is looking at it, their eye is kind of like going from here to here to here to here to here, and that's just not a pleasurable or a good reading experience. So it needs to be easy to read, it should not be confusing, and it should flow naturally as the eye is going through it. Now typically that means top to bottom, or it just naturally means going left to right. So you can have your name here, you can have your headline here, and then you can have your skills here, and then you can have your education here, but it needs to just be consistent throughout, and it needs to be a good reading experience as somebody is going through it. The next tip is to make sure that it has loads of value and impact. The whole point of your resume is to show off everything that you've accomplished, everything that you've done, everything that you've contributed, all of your wins and successes, etc., etc., etc. It's basically the reason why you are so good at what you do, and everything that you brought to your current position or the previous positions before you. So when you're trying to figure out your value, think about how what you did or what you have done has positively improved, strengthened, or bettered the company. So if you were in marketing and the results of your email marketing brought in 82% more revenue than the year before, or if you were in accounting and maybe the person before you was making some errors and some mistakes that was causing extra spending, or for bills or invoices to be past due, or not paid on time, etc. And then you come in and you fix all of that, and now payment accuracy is at 100%. That is value. You fixed something, you saw something that wasn't being done right, and you use your magic and your skills and your know-how and your badassness to fix it and bring value to the company. So when it comes to figuring out your value, you should ask yourself, when you're writing your job descriptions, how has this improved the company? How has this made the company better? How has this resulted in something good? Your value and the value that you brought to your current position and your past roles is going to be the main thing that is going to set you apart from other candidates. There are so many resumes that I receive that do not have any value in them at all, that do not have any numbers in them, and that's the main thing that I specialize in, is showing people's value on their resume. So as we're going through the consultation, I'm asking you, hey, in this role, what was something that you really knocked out of the park? What was something that you received recognition or accolades for? What was the outcome of this thing that you did on here? And let's add a number to it, whether it's a percentage or a dollar figure. Stay away from just listing general bullet points and day-to-day responsibilities, and focus more on the value that you have delivered when it comes to projects or processes or team management or budget management, etc. The next tip is to make sure that it does not have any typos. So in another video, I did talk about 5 things that you should check before you send your resume, and spelling errors and typos tend to be the most common on resumes. Typos and misspellings, grammatical errors, etc. are the best way to portray yourself as an unprofessional professional. And that is what we don't want. You're a professional, you know your stuff, you are badass. And so your resume should not have a typo in there. To make sure that your resume does not have a typo, send it to somebody else to read. Make sure that you proofread it several times, and make sure that you're using a tool such as Grammarly or Microsoft Spell Check to make sure that nothing is misspelled and everything is right. The final tip that I have in this list is to not use the word I. So when you are writing your resume, it's already implied that you did these things. For that reason, there is no need to put the word I in front of every single statement. For some reason, this has been a trending thing for the past 2 years or so, and I'm not exactly sure where it came from, but do not use the word I in your resume. For one, every statement or every sentence is probably going to start with I, and that is so repetitive and it's a little cringy. It can also make it seem like you are bragging or like you are arrogant. So again, it's already implied that you did these things if you are listing them. If you worked with the team, you can go ahead and incorporate it into the statement as needed, but do not use the word I anywhere in your resume. So those are some ways that you can make a recruiter fall in love with your resume the moment that they open it. Trust me, a resume that is less than 3 pages, that is clear and concise, that's targeted, that has exactly what they are looking for, they are in heaven. And that is where you want them to be, so that they reach out to you for an interview. Okay, they need to be like, hey, so and so, so and so, I need to speak with you because your resume is bomb and it has exactly what I'm looking for. I didn't have to sift through everything. It has the value in there. That's what you want. I hope you found this video helpful. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, please go ahead and give me a like below. Go ahead and give me a thumbs up. If you need assistance with your resume, I would be more than happy to help you. Go ahead and head over to my website at www.thompsonresumes.com. You can also email me directly at hello@thompsonresumes.com. Again, I appreciate you guys watching. If you have not subscribed, please go ahead and hit that button down below. And I will see you guys next week with another video. Bye, you guys.